Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's very important that I'm here today to talk to you about a momentous choice. New Hampshire is at a crossroads. We face a decision so important, so historic, that once the legislature decides which road to go down, New Hampshire will be forever changed. I'm speaking, of course, of the choice between milk and cider. The legislature has to decide New Hampshire's official beverage. And I know, coming so soon after the great state dog debate of 2009, it seems that these pressing questions never end. See, a local group of, I think it was out from the seacoast, a group of 3rd and 4th graders in their civics class was learning about New Hampshire government. So they decided, well, we'll propose a law and ask our lawmakers to introduce it. And our legislature can't resist a nice story in the Portsmouth Herald and doing something for kids. So a local lawmaker put in a bill saying, let's make apple cider New Hampshire's official beverage. And they scheduled a hearing, and they're going to go down to the State House, and the kids are going to show that they can get things done in Concord. And then another school group was walking through the State House. This is what Governor Lynch says is his favorite part of the job, talking to the 4th graders as they tour the State House. I think it's because they're more mature than the lawmakers he has to deal with every day. So one of the young boys, 4th grader, says, I don't like cider. I think it's yucky. We should make milk the official state beverage. I have to drink milk every day. Well, of course, a lot of the kids don't like cider. They said, that's great, that's phenomenal. Let's change the bill and make milk the official state beverage.
White wine.
Yeah. And a dairy farmer hears about this and thinks that's phenomenal, that the kids are going to push his product as the official state beverage. I mean, this could lead to literally dozens of dollars for the dairy industry. So he writes the kids a check for $25 to help their campaign. So now, here we are. Maybe they really are learning something about how government works, because the special interests are starting to lobby. And we're going to pit Big Dairy against Big Apple. Well, maybe not Big Apple. That's somewhere else. So this is what our lawmakers are going to decide in the next session of the legislature. They're spending their time deciding the official state beverage at a time when New Hampshire has 1 or 2 other problems. Right now, tomorrow as a matter of fact, the fiscal committee, which oversees the budget, has to decide how to cover last year's $80 million deficit. $80 million. That's actually real money, even for the state government. And they have to decide whether to close the books on last year and admit that we spent more money than we took in, or whether to drain the rainy day fund almost down to zero and say that we balanced our budget. Doesn't matter fiscally either way. We had a deficit. We spent more money than we had. We raised 38 taxes and fees to try to balance the budget. 38 taxes and fees in the budget bill alone. I can't think of anything I did last year 38 times. I didn't go to see 38 movies. I didn't even order pizza 38 times. I didn't read 38 books. They raised 38 taxes and fees just in the budget bill to increase spending by $1 billion, from about $10.5 billion over 2 years to $11.5 billion over 2 years, during a recession, at a time when they said they were making tough choices. Of course, the economy's still slow. Revenues aren't coming in the way they projected them to be. There were little rose-colored glasses in their revenue projections. So on top of the $80 million deficit we need to fill, it looks like the current budget hole is going to be somewhere around $250, $300 billion. And they're going to need to fill that by the end of June 2011. Of course, the next year's legislature is also going to have to decide the next 2-year budget. We used a lot of one-time money, all these temporary fee increases like cutting aid to cities and towns, making towns chip in more for their local retirement funds, subject of another lawsuit. There's $110 million at stake in the JUA lawsuit. You guys know about the JUA lawsuit? A lot of heads nodding. They took money from a mutual insurance pool, said it was state money, A court said, no, it's not. You have to return that to the people that paid into it. They own that money. State Supreme Courts heard the case. We're waiting on a decision. That could blow another $110 million hole in the budget. And of course, all the stimulus money, all the free money from the federal government. They borrowed $787 billion nationwide to supposedly create jobs. They've now admitted, they've given up this fiction of jobs saved or created. They were trying to claim all the jobs that were saved or created through stimulus funding. Now they're just saying jobs funded through stimulus funding. And I guarantee you, there are teachers in Henniker and Hillsborough and Concord and Manchester that are being paid with stimulus money. The job wasn't created because of the stimulus. They were getting paid. They're just getting paid from the federal government instead of the state government or the local government. So that stimulus money goes away. You're looking at a budget hole at day one of the next budget of around $650 billion. You add last year's deficit, this year's deficit, next year's deficit, you put them all together, the next legislature is going to be facing a budget hole of somewhere around $1 billion in New Hampshire, a state with 1.3 million people, $1 billion in 2 years to try to fill. And we wonder why people don't want to run for the legislature, because of these tough choices they have to make. And it's going to take tough choices. And you make tough choices in your daily life. The legislature needs to start making tough choices. And that's why everywhere I go, I encourage people to consider putting their name on the ballot. I don't care what party you are. If you are willing to make tough choices, say no to some people in order to meet our funding priorities and keep taxes down and make a tough choice in our state budget, then we need you in Concord to make those decisions, because obviously our current legislature is facing problems of its own, trying to decide between milk and cider.